Claude Code has 4 ways to extend it: skills, subagents, MCP, and hooks. Every one of them promises the same thing: make Claude better at your work. So which one do you actually reach for? Most tutorials explain what each feature is. Almost none tell you when to pick one over another. That is the part that matters, and that is what this video is. I run 36 subagents, 68 commands, 9 skills, and a set of MCP servers. I am going to show you the rule I use to decide, and the one distinction that took me longest to understand. Here is the whole video in 4 lines. A skill is knowledge. It teaches Claude how to do something. A subagent is delegation. It hands work to a separate worker. MCP is reach. It connects Claude to systems outside your machine. A hook is a guarantee. It runs whether Claude wants it to or not. Hold on to that last one. 3 of these for suggestions. Only one is a rule. We will come back to it. Start with skills, because it is the one people underuse. A skill is a folder with a file called skill.md inside it. That file has a short description at the top and instructions in the body. Here is the important part. The body does not load until the skill is actually used. Only the description sits in context. So you can write 2,000 words of reference material, and it costs you almost nothing until the moment Claude needs it. That solves a real problem. If you have been using Claude Code for a while, your Claude.md has probably turned into a swamp. Every rule you ever wanted enforced, all loaded on every single turn. The rule I use is this: if it is a fact about the project, it belongs in Claude.md. If it is a procedure, it belongs in a skill. Deploy steps. A review checklist. How your team writes migrations. Those are procedures. They should load when needed, not always. You invoke a skill 2 ways. Type / and the skill name, or let Claude pick it up on its own when the description matches what you are doing. One thing that trips people up: custom commands and skills merged. A file in the commands folder and a skill folder both give you a / command and behave the same way. Your old commands keep working. Skills just add a folder for supporting files and the option to let Claude invoke them automatically. Subagents are the one people reach for too early. A subagent is a separate Claude instance. Separate context window. Its own tools. Its own model. It does not see your conversation history. It does not see the files you already read. And it does not see the skills you already used. It gets a task description, it works, and it sends back one summary. That is all that comes home. That last detail is the entire point. All the noise stays over there. Say you need to search 40 files to find where something is defined. Do that in your main conversation, and you have just poured 40 files of output into your context. Do it in a subagent, and you get back one paragraph telling you where it lives. Subagents are a context management tool first. Parallelism second. You define one as a markdown file. Front matter on top, and the body becomes that agent's system prompt. Name and description are required. The description is what Claude reads to decide when to delegate, so write it like a trigger, not like a title. Then the useful optional ones. Tools, to restrict what it can touch. A reviewer agent should not have write access. Model, so you can run cheap agents on a small model and save the expensive one for hard problems. Now the part nobody says out loud. Do not use a subagent for a small task. Every subagent starts cold. It read-arrives context you already have in front of you. If the job is 2 file reads and an edit, spawning an agent is slower and costs more than just doing it. Use them when the output would be noisy or when the work is genuinely independent. MCP is the easiest of the 4 to understand and the easiest to overload. MCP stands for Model Context Protocol. It is how Claude reaches systems that are not on your file system. Your database, your issue tracker, a browser, your design tool, internal APIs. Skills teach Claude how to do something. MCP gives Claude something to do it to. You configure servers in your settings file. Each one brings its own tools into the session. And that is exactly where it goes wrong. Every MCP server you connect adds tool definitions to your context on every turn, whether you use them or not. 10 servers you never call still cost you. My rule: connect a server when you use it weekly, not when it looks interesting. Here is the one I had wrong for a long time. I had 36 subagents and 0 hooks. And that is backwards, because hooks do something none of the other 3 can do. Skills, subagents, and MCP are all chosen by the model. Claude decides whether a skill is relevant. Claude decides whether to delegate. Claude decides which tool to call. Those are suggestions, and a model can ignore a suggestion. A hook is not a suggestion. A hook is a shell command the harness runs at a fixed point in the life cycle. Claude has no vote. So if you have ever written, please always run the formatter into your instructions, and watched it get skipped, that is why. You asked a model to remember something. What you wanted was a guarantee. There are hooks for a lot of moments. Session start. Before a prompt is processed. Before and after every tool call. When Claude stops. When a subagent finishes. The two that pay off immediately. Post tool use on edit and write to format what was just changed. And stop to notify you when the work is done so you can stop babysitting the terminal. And there is one more that changed how I work. Pre-tool use can block. If your hook exits with code 2, the tool call does not happen. Not a warning. Blocked. Claude sees the error message you printed and has to find another way. That means you can make certain things structurally impossible. Force pushing to main. Deleting a directory tree. Whatever you know you will regret at midnight. You are not trusting a model to be careful. You are removing the option. Before the summary, the 3 mistakes I see most. Every one of them is reaching for the wrong tool. First, writing a rule into your instructions and hoping it sticks. Always run the tests. Never commit secrets. Always format before you finish. If it must happen every time, that is not an instruction. That is a hook. Second, spawning a subagent to save context for a task that produces almost no output. The agent starts cold and rereads what you already had loaded. You spent more context than you saved. Third, connecting an MCP server for something a shell command already does. Every server you attach pays rent in your context window on every single turn. If a script solves it, write the script and put it in a skill. The pattern is the same in all 3. People pick the feature they heard about most, not the one that matches the shape of the problem. So how do they fit together? Most real setups use all 4, and they do not overlap once you see the split. Skills for how. Subagents for who. MCP for what you can reach. Hooks for what always happens. If you are starting from nothing, build them in this order. First, one hook. Format on edit. It takes 5 minutes and you feel it immediately. Second, move your longest Claude.md section into a skill. Your context gets lighter on every turn. Third, one subagent for whatever task floods your screen with output. Fourth, MCP last. Only for a system you actually touch every week. The short version. 3 of these are things you offer the model. One of them is a thing you decide for it. Most people build the first 3 and skip the 4th. I did. Start with a hook. If you want the config files behind this, they are linked below. Thanks for watching.